So we are on to block number 4 of our Pieceful basket sew along. That is the block of the month that comes with our sew sampler box. So this is what block number 4 is going to look like. If you're sewing the kit, that is what your block is going to look like. So I am also doing another colorway, which is the yellow right here that I will be sewing on this video. So with that being said, I'm gonna dive in and sew our block number 4 of the Pieceful basket. So here we go. Okay, so this is what my setup looks like right now. These are my cutouts. So the first thing we're going to do here is make our HST, and we're going to take our P and our M, and we're going to make an HST. So for this, you guys already know that I have this right here. I don't have to draw a line. So what I'm gonna just do is just come down and sew 1/4 inch apart like that. And I'm gonna come around and I'm just going to sew. Okay, so, and I'm going to be using this right here, this nifty ruler right here. I'm not sure if you can see it through the camera. It is the perfect slided trimmer ruler that I use. So I'm just going to trim it to the size that is called for, put it on the line and then trim. So right now it looks like I have a perfect size that it calls for with just very minor cut on the sides. I'm going to come around and trim. And then I'm done. So that's that. And then what I'm going to do now, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to cut down the middle like that. So next we're going to take our M and O and we're going to make another HST. So I sew 1/4 inch apart from the center and I'm not going to cut it. I'm just going to put my ruler and just trim it. Then I'll cut it in the middle. And I'm just going to come around and trim. Then I will trim down the middle. Okay, so now I have 2 sets of my HST right here. I have our first step all completed, so I'm just going to put it on the side right there, all done. The next thing we're going to do is making our 9 patch. I have cut out strips. I am not going to cut out little tiny squares and then sew them together. It would just make my brain hurt. So what I have done is cut out strips. So our first set, so our O and our R wants us to cut smaller pieces, okay? And I cannot cut smaller pieces. What I'm gonna do is just do a strip and then cut to the size that is requiring us to be. All right, so then I'm just gonna come around, making sure that I got the right component on, and I'm just going to sew our, what should be our O piece. I'm gonna make it an O strip. I'm just gonna try to press open, and then I will iron it first before I cut. So that way I know that these pieces are accurate. So our next one, it wants us to have our O piece is going to be in the middle and our R piece is going to be on the outside. So I'm just going to cut a little piece here and I'm going to put it here and I'm going to sew. And I'm going to come around here. So this piece. So what I'm going to do now is go to my iron and press it, and then I'll cut to what we need and I'll meet you here. Okay. So what I'm doing now is just cutting my pieces to size that it needs to be. So now I have all my pieces cut out. So this is why it's so much easier. Just sew your strip and it's a lot easier. That way you don't have to worry about matching up the seam and you already have everything all done. So these are the 2 we need. So all I have to do now is just piece them, and that's what I'm going to do. So now I'm just gonna bring this and make sure that my seam do match. And so. So now I have all of our first and second step all done. I have the 9 patch, I have the HST, and we are making 2 of each. So they are done. I'm gonna move it over to the side. So for our next step, I'm gonna take our Q piece and then I'm going to come over here. I'm gonna put our 9 patch that we just sewn. Then I'm going to take this right here, put it like that, and then take our other piece, put it like that, this right here, and then I'm going to take our H piece, put it over here. And then I'm going to take our G piece, put it over here. Then I would take, nope, I think I flipped this, you guys, I'm sorry. This is gonna come here. So this is gonna be like this, and we're only going to use one of this, okay? And so we're gonna have one extra HST. This is what they are looking like right now. It doesn't look like much of anything. So what I'm gonna do is piece all this, and then we will be done with this section. So I'm gonna sew the bottom one first, since we're only sewing 2 patches, and then I will put it to the bottom part, then I'll sew the rest of them. I'm gonna chain piece this right here. So I'm just gonna sew these, and then we'll move on to our next step. So the next thing we're doing to this part right here is kind of like, I call it framing. So what we're gonna do is frame it. We're gonna bring our piece K, put it on the bottom, and then we're going to get our J piece and put it onto the side. So we're going to frame it off. So that's what we're doing right now. And I'm going to do the bottom part first. And so what we're going to do next is bring our J piece and sew it onto the side. And I'm not pressing with an iron because this is a skinny piece. And if you press and you don't press the right way, it can stretch. So I'm going to wait until I have everything sewn on, then I'll press. So the next thing we are doing is taking our B&I, we're going to sew our little teeny tiny HST. So my 2 little teeny tiny HST are all completed, and this is what they are looking like. So the next thing we're doing is using this HST to connect our little strip right here. This is our C piece, and then we're gonna take our D piece. The D piece is shorter than the C piece. And so what we're doing to our D piece right now that's shorter is taking the L, the little teeny tiny L, we're going to sew it like this. Okay, we're going to sew it with our background going this way, because I've been known to switch to kind of flip them. And when I did on that very first block, y'all, I didn't redo it because this is so small. I think if you're trying to redo this because it's so tiny, you will literally make it worse. So I just left it, and it's gonna be okay. And I'm going to put it with my D piece like that. So this is what it's gonna look like. Okay, and then we're going to take our C piece, we're going to take our HST, and then we're going to take the other L piece. Okay, so that C piece is going to be going perpendicular to the D piece. Okay, so I'm going to try to set it right so that way I don't mess it up. So we're going to set this like this, and then we're going to set this like this. So our light piece, our background is going to be going up this way, and our color is going to be going to the right side. I'm saying that out loud because I don't want to mess up. And then I'm going to put like, what, 2 stitches on it? All right, so what I'm going to do now is sew this together. This together. So I'm doing them both at the same time, so that way it'll save time. So I'm just kind of going step by step, so that way you do see the process and I do show everything. I'm just doing it exactly how the pattern calls for. So I'm going to bring the pieces that we've been working on, that we've been building on. I'm going to take my D piece right here. I'm not sure if I said perpendicular, but the pattern said put it on top. So I'm going to put it on top, and then we're going to take this C piece and we're going to put it to the side. Like I said, I call this framing because that's what it feels like. So I'm just going to sew this. They look a little, they look like they're folding right now. The reason why is because I have not pressed it with an iron. And I told you earlier that the reason why I'm not doing that is because I don't want to stretch my fabric. I want to sew everything in its true form, so that way it prevents from stretching. So now this part is completed. So we're going to take our other strips, which is our K and our J, K and J, and then we're going to take our E and sew it onto both corners. Now I could have sewn this with that last step that I did, but like I said, I'm going step by step per the pattern. If I was sewing this and not on video, I probably would have done that, but I just want you guys to see the steps. So we're gonna bring back this piece right here. All right, and then we're gonna take our J piece, it's gonna go on top, and then we're gonna take our K piece. Our K piece is going to go onto the side. So the first thing I'm gonna do is sew on the K piece, all right? And then we're gonna come back and do the J. So I'm lining up my seam. This one is going this way, and then this one is going this way right here. So I'm just holding my seam down. I'm not pinning, I'm just gonna hold it down. So I'm gonna bring my J piece and I'm going to sew it on to the top. Again, I'm going to make sure that my seam are matching right here. So I'm gonna start sewing from this. The reason why I'm gonna start sewing from where my seam is, it's so that way they will match up. But if I start sewing from this top side right here, so when you're sewing, when the feed dog on the bottom and top grabs, sometimes it will push your fabric, and then by the time you get to this end right here, it wouldn't be aligned. Now, if you do pin, that will help, but in my case, I'm just gonna start sewing from here first, so that way I am sure that my seam do match up. If I can help it, I'll do it that way. I'm gonna sew from the back side and then make sure that my seam are held down. That's how you're supposed to sew it. So that way you can see your seam on the back side, but sometimes I don't do it that way. So now I'm just gonna hold it down at on the bottom part and sew. So now that the entire frame are sewn on, I'm gonna go ahead and press it. Then I would trim it to the size that it needs to be. Now, to have a better and accurate block, you have to trim as you go on while you're making your block, because you will get to the end and things will not match up. So I'm just gonna press this right here, then I will trim it to the size that it's supposed to be before I connect the outside component onto it. The next part that we're doing is actually sewing our F piece to our A piece. So I'm just gonna sew the corner. We're going to sew the outside piece on. So now these corner piece is sewn on, and I have one here that is not. We have to cut it diagonally, so I'm just gonna put it together. It should match up. So I'm just gonna bring a mat here, and I'm going to lay both fabrics together. I'm just gonna bring them. I want you to see something here. This one is a little oversized on purpose because I want you to see. So I'm going to put this on my fabric to make sure that I have an accurate diagonal cutting. That 45-degree angle line is directly on the edge of the fabric. And then the bottom corner right here is literally on the tip of the corner of this fabric. So that way I know that I am cutting right. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is go ahead and cut both fabric at the same time. So that is done. I just want to give you that little tidbit. So now the next thing I'm going to do is put this whole blocks together. So we are going to bring our basket bottom like that, okay? And these right here, we have two of this that are cut diagonal. We're gonna put it on the side, and we're going to put it on the side. And what I'm gonna do now is sew them, and we will be done. This is our block number 4, all completed. This is an example of how you can mix and match your fabric. This right here, both of these are Riley Blake, and then this right here is Moda. And then this accent color fabric right here is also Moda. Utilize what you have in your sewing room. So you don't always have to buy new fabric. Don't listen to me when I say don't buy new fabric, but so this is the kit. This is what it looks like right here, okay? I was gonna switch out the basket piece, which has the large floral, because I'm not a floral kind of girl, but for the purpose of the video, so that way you guys can kind of see and get the true look of how the kit will look, I went on ahead and used the color that is suggested. So anyways, that is all I have for you today. I hope you are having a great day, and I would love to see you in my next video. Bye.